It's a funny notion about the modern age that today Superman would want to keep his identity secret because working at the Daily Planet there would be the risk of a backlash from half the country if it was found out he was working as a shill for the mainstream legacy media. Also, these days, it's hard to know what studios actually have in the pipeline or whether to give credence to half-hearted or cryptic studio announcements about upcoming projects. What we do know is that we are saying goodbye to Henry Cavill as Superman. James Gunn stepped in and decided on a hard reset of the whole DC universe, which would make Cavill's character incongruous and create narrative confusion. A bold and contentious decision, given the obvious fan affinity and appreciation for Cavill, the once-in-a-generation casting fit for the character, the multiverse or other structural tricks that might have been devised to maintain at least some of the status quo, not to mention the pile of money such a sequel would have made. This is all while Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to remain in his own universe, as will Joker, who, God help us, will be in a sequel with Lady Gaga. Another factor in Gunn's approach may be shrewdness and ego. If you take the helm, trying to pick up the disparate threads of other people's work and progressing with other directors' aesthetics or visions, then it's a lose-lose proposition. If you start a little on the back foot with something already problematic and unwieldy, and it fails commercially and critically, then you will be accused of letting the whole enterprise lapse, and if it succeeds, you won't get all of the credit. In some ways it's okay to see Cavill depart, because he, and the likes of Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, are hugely charismatic stars whose talents seem a little squandered in films that are bloated, underwhelming, lack in cinematic X-factor, and seem so grand in scale that risk aversion seems to play an oversized part in their development. Whilst it would have been great to have had Henry Cavill in the role of Superman one more time, it's also okay to see him take flight from the mass shit-canning and histrionics going on within DC. It's also good because it shortens the odds of him securing another ideal role. There are two characters Cavill was born to play, one, Superman, and two, James Bond. Of all the franchises in the world, the one that most tickles our neuroses, raises our heckles on social media, and riles us up with drip-fed insider gossip is James Bond. Will he be race-swapped? Will he be too sensitively boyish? Now that he's dead, will the new iteration be adapted to suit modern audiences? Which is coded language for inserting 100 tubes and sucking out his testosterone, removing his XY chromosomes, and twisting his testicles around like the metal chains on a swing at a children's playground until they drop off. Back in 2005, a 22-year-old Henry Cavill narrowly missed out on being cast in Casino Royale, yet has made it clear in recent years that he'd love to take on the much-coveted role. According to the bookies, Cavill is now 5-2 to be the next Bond, but he's been knocked off the top spot by Aaron Taylor Johnson. This isn't too surprising given The Sun's recent rumors that the 32-year-old Taylor Johnson had a secret audition and wowed producer Barbara Broccoli with a gun barrel screen test. How on earth can you wow someone with a gun barrel screen test? I mean, how much passion and mystery and allure can you wring out of walking 6 steps then swerving and pointing a fake pistol at a camera? Taylor Johnson is no acting slouch. For his performance as psychopathic drifter Ray Marcus in Tom Ford's thriller Nocturnal Animals, he won the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor and was nominated for the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. But I've got serious misgivings about this guy getting the role of Bond over the much more seasoned and suitable Cavill. Aaron Johnson began a relationship with director Sam Taylor Wood after meeting on the 2009 set of the film Nowhere Boy when he was 18 and she was 42. The pair subsequently married. I'm as open-minded as they come, live and let live and all that, but that doesn't prohibit me from feeling that a 42-year-old picking up, seducing and marrying an 18-year-old fresh out of high school is, and will always be, eyebrow-raising at best and creepy at worst. And it also speaks to a weird hypocrisy in Hollywood about morality, power relations, and vast discrepancies that they would be disparaging and even scathing about in practically any other sphere of life or with reversed gender roles, but which is blithely, cavalierly, even empoweringly overlooked within their own ranks. There's always a separation, of course, between actor and role, but there will also always be some degree of inevitable bleed-over, with actors naturally informing their roles with resonances from their cumulative life experience. That's why, for me, Sean Connery will always be the best Bond, because in real life he was a bodybuilder alpha male who could handle his alcohol and had a taste for the ladies, whilst also looking cool as hell in a sporty Jaguar or Bentley. If you got in a fight with Connery, you'd lose, and if you were a lady bedded by him, the bed frame would be splintered and shattered during the experience. For me, there seems such a depressingly modern and pronounced glitch between a guy who entered into an enduring relationship with a middle-aged woman 24 years older than him when he was still a teenager, playing a role characterized as a suave, sexually independent gentleman bachelor and ladies' man, who was supposed to epitomize freewheeling, adventurous machismo with sexy young broads and femme fatales. There would be a glitchy irony to the whole thing if Taylor Johnson were given the role. Almost as if Barbara Broccoli in the studio had done an end run around the idea of the conventional Bond casting by zeroing in on an actor whose past and present subtly anesthetizes the usual Bond macho proclivities and tropes. I'm predicting there would be a sizable online grumbling, matched by priggish and smarmy online pieces, with a men can't handle the tables being turned attitude, or a premise along the lines of how sassy and progressive and witty and audacious it is to cast a man who can play Bond while having a bracing gender role twist in real life, and other septic dialogue that would undermine the franchise. For Henry Cavill to be passed over in 2005 and then be passed over now in favor of a scarcely known bloke who more or less got out of his school uniform in order to change into a bridegroom's tuxedo in the same afternoon to shack up with a mother of two more than twice his age would be a shame. More importantly, Henry Cavill is a great actor who can buff up with a strong physical presence, match it with gravitas and charm, be at once physically intimidating and a gentleman, and be devoted to restoring the spirit of the source material. He's the obvious choice, the ideal leading man, the choice that would be met with almost unanimous praise. But this is Hollywood, where revisionism and deconstruction are like tenets or doctrines of a religion, so there's every chance we'll be saddled with a lesser Bond.